Should I get out of the picture?
No. We're live, man.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody? So we're taking a break from CPAC. So we're here in Dallas, and man, it's hot, dude. I'm freaking burning up. But hey, so we are here at the grassy knoll, right, downtown Dallas. With all the talk of conspiracies, right? So we look at the 2020 election. Was the 2020 election a conspiracy? This whole COVID thing, right? Was it a conspiracy? Whenever we look at the World Economic Forum, Agenda 2030, is that really just a conspiracy? I want to. JFK, was that a conspiracy? I want to take a second to just talk about some of the World Economic Forum. Okay, and this is important because we have elected officials right now in office, people that call themselves Republicans. I like to call them trans Republicans or Republicans or Republicrats. I don't know. But they're not really Republicans. They're not America First. But they are students of the young global leaders from the World Economic Forum. So let's talk about this Agenda 2030 for a second, because a lot of people, they still think it's a big conspiracy theory, like they think maybe the 2020 election was a conspiracy, or they think that, JFK was a conspiracy. Before we actually continue, I just want you to know a conspiracy literally only means that it involved two or more people. And a conspiracy theorist is actually a free thinker, right? Someone that looks at the situation as it is and how did we get here, and they try to fill in the gaps using logic and critical thinking. So I got my buddy Ron here with me. Say, hey, what's up, Ron?
What's up?
Yeah, so we've been having some really good conversations while we've been here at CPAC in Dallas, and we've been talking a lot about the World Economic Forum, Agenda 2030. And man, what do you say, man, to people that think that, this whole, when Klaus Schwab said you will own nothing and be happy, why do you think people think that's still just a conspiracy theorist, or a conspiracy theory, I should say?
Yeah, well, I heard something, it's like the old thing where if you think it's a conspiracy theory, just wait, 6 months and it'll pretty much come true. Or, it'll be exposed. And that's what we were talking about the other day, was you have to see things from different angles, right? So it's like wearing 3D glasses. If you just look through your worldview, is looking through the blue shade, everything's going to look blue. If you just do the red, everything's red. So you have to use both of them, put them on to see things in full, 3D, full picture. So there's like a million different conspiracy theory documentaries and different things about JFK. So that's what we like to do. It's kind of, you can watch all of them, take them with a grain of salt. There's an old saying, you have to learn how to chew up the meat and spit out the bones.
Oh, I love that.
And so that's what you have to do, is see things from all these different angles. Like they say JFK was shot and you're looking, well, this angle's a grassy knoll, this angle's the library, and they had people up there. I watched a documentary that we came and I walked down there and shot a little thing. It said it was actually the storm drain where he was shot. And so I'm like, oh, and it kind of looks like, well, that lines up, that's where he was. So who knows what it is? But you just have to take everything, with a grain of salt and then put it all together and try and see the big picture like that, rather than just being committed to one way of seeing things.
Yeah, well, and I think that's important because there's a lot of unanswered questions, right?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the 2020 election. We have a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to 9/11, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
A lot of unanswered questions, right? And so I don't think that people should be deemed as conspiracy theorists just because they're willing to use their brain and say something don't make sense, right? So whenever you have elected officials that are part of this, of the World Economic Forum, or they're young global leaders, people say, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Those same elected officials, and I would wink my eye because you know who I'm talking about, Texas too, those elected officials claim, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory. And then they change their story later on and say, oh, they put me on their website, didn't bother, getting my permission, blah, 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 blah. There's all these unanswered questions, and so, we've got to do a better job of asking the right questions, looking for the answers, not giving up, and really becoming seekers of truth. That's extremely important. And sometimes we just have to accept the fact that we may never know the truth. Like, do aliens really exist? I don't know, but did they just release a bunch of documents, what was like a year ago? But you know what, things are so bad, it was funny. Things were so bad, our government released all this stuff about UFOs being real, but nobody cared because things are, I'm not really concerned about aliens from outer space. I'm concerned about the illegal aliens that are crossing our border right now. That for some reason, Greg Abbott thinks it was a good idea to send those illegal aliens to New York. So instead of doing the right thing and declaring an invasion for Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 of the Constitution, like he can constitutionally do, instead of doing that, what does he do? He uses Texas taxpayer dollars to bust them to New York and send them further into the country that they invaded in the first place. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Am I guilty by association, or how's this thing? I'm just scanning. What is the little prompt? It's like all the views expressed by this. I'm just messing with you, Dan. No, but I think you said something important, and that was, it is a conspiracy if you're not allowed to ask questions.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the COVID. Don't ask questions. When people tell you don't ask questions, shut up, just believe. I've got a friend in New Zealand right now who's stuck there, and because he didn't take the COVID shot, so they won't let him in and out. But the prime minister, or whatever the girl is, I don't remember her thing, but she just came out and said the only truth is us, the news media, the state. If you hear anything else, it's not the truth. So that's a form of not asking questions. And so one of the things this guy said,
that's tyranny.
Yeah, one of the things this guy said was, because he's a scientist, he's a chemist, a research chemist, and he said science is all about asking questions, and if you don't ask questions, it's not real science. It's just, okay, so that's these things. So when people really come to you and go, don't ask questions, whether that's in the church or whether that's in politics or whatever, we have to dare to think, and we have to ask those questions. So we need a system, a filter of questions that really challenge that. When someone tells you something, well, what do you mean by that? Okay, and just let them talk. Well, how do you know that's true? Well, if you believe that's true, how are you going to live your life?
Yeah.
And then the question I like is, what if you're wrong? Ask yourself that. And then the final one is, are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to change your mind if you get the information? And that's what you're seeing, people who go, we were talking about masks. Someone wears masks and all the evidence comes out, well, masks doesn't stop viruses, blah, blah, blah. Well, why are you still wearing it? Because the glass is on your mind. You really believe it's going to help you, it's going to save you, and you're not willing to change that. I mean, you're committed to it. So it's kind of like, you live your whole life believing something, you see truth that, and then you have to say, what I've been doing this whole time is wrong. So ego sometimes will not allow you to change your mind or your worldview. It's like, I'm stuck with this, I'm committed to this.
You said something really, really important, and sorry guys, I'm holding this with my hand, so it's a little bit difficult. So you said something really important, and you talk about the glasses. It's the lens through which we see the world. And the thing is that we all have that lens, right? And that lens through which we see the world, that perspective, it is formed by our experiences. It's formed by what we go through in life. It's formed by, from the time that we were little bitty to now, information has been uploaded into the hard drive of our mind, into the file system of our mind. And so we try to pull out files out of that file cabinet that doesn't exist. And so we tend to see through blurred lenses. And so when you think about this, whenever you go to the doctor, what are they doing? They sit you down in this chair, they put this big machine in front of you, and then they start going through it and asking you if it's better A or B, 1 or 2. And what are they doing? They're aligning your perception with reality. And that's exactly what truth does. Because if you go throughout life walking around and you can't see, what happens? Well, you can't drive, or you can try, but what's going to happen? You're going to get into accidents. Your life is at risk. You're putting other lives at risk, all because your perception is off in life, right? You bump into things. You run over people. So truth actually realigns our perception with reality. And so that's what we need in America right now, is we need truth.
You have to challenge your own worldview.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were talking about is there's only really 3 basic worldviews. So once you find those out, which glasses do you have on your mind? Because my buddy tells a story where he wears these blue blockers. He flips down on his glasses and he loves chocolate milk. And he's like, he went into a Louis and he grabbed what he thought was chocolate milk, and he despises 2% milk and all that kind of stuff. But it was a purple thing, and his blue blockers made it look like it was chocolate milk. He grabbed it, he drank, he's like, oh my God, I got the wrong thing. So you could have the right intentions, but the wrong glasses on, and get the wrong outcome. And so we have to always be challenging, daring to think, asking ourselves those questions rather than arguing or debating. Like I said, start with us. Figure out what is your worldview first. Because look, everybody doesn't believe the same thing you do. You're going to believe. Nobody believes the same thing. So yeah, this is fun.
So
I'm hot. I'm ready to go.
I know, right? So hold on just for a second. So American Surf Shop, like surf, like what is that? No, but why SERF, man? What is a surf?
So as he was talking about the World Economic Forum on my birthday, Klaus Schwab released his PowerPoint, which for years people said it's a conspiracy, the one world government, the one world new world order, all that stuff. And I joke, I say, it's not a conspiracy theory when they make a PowerPoint out of it. And they're telling you exactly what their plan is because they know you can't do a damn thing about it. And it reminds me, we were talking about this movie, Billy Jack. I don't know if you've ever seen, I think it was from the 70s or 60s. I think it was the 70s. Go look at Billy Jack. There's a scene in the movie where he's surrounded by all these, I don't know what you call it, gangsters or whatever, the town bullies, and they're forcing him into a fight. And he says to the guy, he goes, "Look, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to put it on the left side of your face, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it to stop it." And he kind of laughs. He's like, "Really?" He's like, "You're surrounded by all these guys." So in like half a second, he knocks him out. And I was thinking, that's what's going on now, is Democrats or whoever are saying, I'm going to take over in 2030. You're gonna own nothing. We're gonna tell you to be happy. You're gonna do this. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. And to show you that, I'm gonna make a PowerPoint and I'm gonna release it. And then I'm gonna talk about it.
Not to mention write a book.
And then write a book and tell you. So surf, to me, when I heard that, it was like, you own nothing and be happy. Well, that's a surf. That's a medieval surf. And so I'm like, they're really on the road to serfdom is what they're doing. The oligarch wants its serfs back. That's really what's going on. So this is my way of saying, look, we want to keep power at check, because I always say power left unchecked creates serfs. And we're not a republic anymore. We're not a democracy, a true democracy anyway. What we are is we're an oligarchy. And we have to realize that they gave us a timeline when all this stuff is going to change. So we have a very short window to really stand up. So the surf thing, I create conversational clothing. So this is just our logo shirt. So people will go, "Oh, surf shop, you spelled surf wrong. It's supposed to be SURF." I'm like, no. Do you know what a medieval surf is? And it allows you to have a conversation with people, and then you can bring all that in rather than wearing some F Joe Biden or whatever shirt to where it just detracts people. So you want to have these conversations with people that, you have these not really debates, but you want to have conversations one-on-one with people. So that's what the surf shop is. We're an educational streetwear company that I want to teach the fundamentals of liberty, but I'm a graphic designer, so I want to teach creative rebellion. How do you creatively rebel against tyrants, but while having fun? So that's the whole premise of it, is going back to the basics.
Yeah.
So I just launched the podcast where we talk about the 3 worldviews. I'm a one-man show, so I pretty much, I hope I did it right to where I got it on Spotify and all that. So it'll take a week or so to get on there. But I encourage you guys to watch that. Check out AmericanSurfShop.com. Like I said, one-man show. I'm a brand strategist and designer, but I want to do this full-time to serve you guys and to design tools for you to really stop what I'm calling the great rebranding of America. They call it the great reset and all that. But as a designer, I see things as they're rebranding us. Obama came out and said, we're going to fundamentally transform America. And when I heard that as a brand strategist, I'm like, well, you're changing the company from the fundamentals. So what is it fundamentally you don't like about it? So that's what we have to do, is we have to reestablish the forms that gave us our freedom, but without chaos. And so that's what we're all about.
I love that. So now you see why we're friends and why we came to CPAC together. I'm trying to get this as backwards. So now you see why we came to CPAC together. So he calls it the great rebranding. I call it the great resist, So I'm a little more confrontational, but yeah, man, it's been a fun weekend. CPAC has been amazing, and And guys, if you're one of those people that just think that people that are free thinkers, that think for themselves, that try to learn the truth, that don't just accept the mainstream narrative, like the mainstream narrative was Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole killer of JFK. That's BS. Like, anybody with a working brain knows that that's not the case. Anybody with a working brain knows that 2020 was not the most secure election in history. Yeah. Anyone with a brain knows that there's something fishy about 9/11. And there's a whole bunch of other things that we could talk about. But guys, I just want to take a few minutes, take a break from CPAC, come here. We're just gonna kind of walk around this date in history. The day that JFK was shot was a very bleak day for America. And I believe that's whenever the globalists and the deep state made themselves known in the biggest way possible. And so I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. Let us know in the comments below, what do you think happened to JFK? Do you think it was Lee Harvey Oswald? Do you think that there were three different angles, multiple shots? Do you think maybe it came from the sewer, like this one documentary said, which had a perfect shot? Let us know below. Anyways, it's hot, so we're gonna start moving around. Love you guys. God bless.
See ya. Bye.